is part of the audience. So we try to maintain the decorum and the silence for the respect of the mother of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. We keep the noise, the conversations, the socializing for another time. So it's my humble plea that the sisters at the back, who are constantly in conversation at the moment, can they please kindly, for the respect of the Majlis of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, keep the noise to the minimum. Salawat. Can I please open this Majlis by inviting Brother Aqil to come forward and recite a few verses of poetry in the honor of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Please welcome him with a salawat.
Brothers, sisters, aunties and uncles, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The brother has invited me up to do some poetry, but just really quickly, I don't want to take up too much time. I just want to make the brothers and the sisters aware of something. I am organizing a youth exchange course to go ahead at the end of September, and it's with countries around Europe. So each country will be bringing some youths from their country. We will fly to North Macedonia to exchange cultural habits and whatnot. The requirements for this is that you have to be between the ages of 18 and 30 years old, and you have to be double vaccinated. Inshallah, I'll be around at the end of the Majlis. I'll be at the midnight Majlis as well. Any brothers or sisters who are interested, please come and let me know. I can take some details, and I will let you know about that program. Salawat. In today's Majlis, we commemorate the martyrdom of Ali Al-Asghar alayhi salam. Just a few points before I get into this poem. Who was Ali Al-Asghar alayhi salam? The 6-month-old of Imam Hussain, and in my opinion, one of the greatest soldiers of the army of Imam Hussain. Why, you ask, when he couldn't pick up a sword, when he couldn't use a shield to fight? It's because this baby fought a battle of the hearts. It was this baby that made the opposite army cry when they saw him asking for water. So it's no wonder in Islam he is known as Babul Hawa'ij, the door of wishes, and he has his status in Islam. The poem I've written and will read to you focuses on the love between a mother, Bibi Rubab, and her baby, Ali Al-Asghar. The love was really, really strong. It brings a narration to mind that I wish to share with everybody here that I heard a while back. The narration states that after the Battle of Karbala, from Karbala to Kufa, from Kufa to Sham, from Sham to Medina, whenever the women would go to sleep, Bibi Rubab would tend to isolate herself in a corner. They would hear in the course of a night some whimpers, some whispers, some muttering, until she eventually would fall asleep. It wasn't until Bibi Rubab passed away and the women did her ghusl that they found something concealed in her abba. And it was this like rubble, like sticks and some bits of fabric. To know the significance of this rubble, they took it to the Imam of the time and asked him, what is this? The Imam of the time replied, he said, that when the tents were burned in Karbala, this woman did whatever she could to salvage the leftover bits of her baby's cot. And every night when she would go to sleep, she would take it out. She would cradle it. She would kiss it. She would speak to it as it was her baby and sing it a lullaby until she would eventually fall asleep. Now let me set the scene for you. It's the 10th day of Muharram, the day of Ashura. Everybody has left out of Bani Hashim and have gone to fight. Abbas was the last one to go. Imam Hussain now stands alone. Throughout the course of the day, Bibi Rubab has been in and out of her tent to check on her baby. As you can imagine, a baby 3 days thirsty. She doesn't even know sometimes if he's alive because there's no energy. She goes in for the last time, and in this very particular moment, his eyes are wide awake, has a lot of energy, his feet are kicking. He looks at his mother and begins to smile. Now what does she think when she looks in his eyes? What are these flashes I see as I look into your eyes? I see many things and aspects, but never any goodbyes. I remember not so long ago, to sleep, you would need my lullaby. Now when I see you sleep, I have to check if you're still alive. I see the potential of the man you can become. I see you crawling to taking your first steps and beginning to run. I see you grow older, wiser, and even your first facial hair. I can see your wedding, your bride, all of this in your stare. I see your life and how I could help you get through what you cannot bear. I even see you grow old and how the light black turns to gray hair. Through all of this, I know I would be right by your side. I wish I could save you, but in this desert, there is nowhere to hide. I'm your source of life, your mother, the one who gave you your name. But my baby, you're my source of life, similar to my jugular vein. As I sit here and feel your hand wrap around my finger, I wish God could stretch this moment and make it forever linger. I'm supposed to be your protector, your person in need, your helper. Like a mother lion protects its cub. Believe me, I wish I could. You are so innocent, you've never even called me mother. Now I'm destined to be a heartbroken woman, just like the others. With a beautiful son like you, my love, I wouldn't need to. But how do I call myself your mother when I've lost the ability to even feed you? Oh, my son, I am broken, but please do not blame me. By God, if I could leave here, I would and rush you to safety. Please remember your mother has done all that she can do. I don't have tears left to cry, for even them I would have fed you. How I wish your cries would turn to the laughter I remember. How I wish your warmth was the result of the hugs I give you so tender. Now your father calls for help, and your tiny body struggles to his aid. You even kick yourself out of your cradle, and your life is something ready to be laid. A true grandson of Ali, only at your tiny age. Just know, I am proud to have a son so courageous and brave. Watching you crawl to him now, my heart breaks all over again. At 6 months, you bring shame to all those other men. A great son of your father, Hussain, I know this to be true. I shouldn't be surprised, but I can't bear this being the last time I see you. Take one last look at this woman, a broken mother. Ashamed I couldn't feed or protect you, maybe you deserved another. One last look in my eye, and my heart is ablaze. One more smile from me before I pick you up for our final embrace. I hear your heart beat, son. Can you hear mine? May this moment be the one to last forever, stretched in time. Salawat.
Thank you, brother, for that moving poem of the interaction between Bibi Rubab and the baby Ali Al-Asghar. I'd now like to invite Brother Muhsin to come forward and briefly recite for us. Just a humble request to try to stick to time. Thank you.
Salawat. ये कैसा दौर है, क्या हो गया ज़माने को। ये कैसा दौर है, क्या हो गया ज़माने को। नबी की आल का उम्मत है खूबाने को। नबी की आल का उम्मत कैसा दौर है क्या हो गया ज़माने को जो हो सके अली असगर को रोक लो सुगरा जो हो सके अली असगर को रोक लो सुगरा वगरना तरसोगी झूला उसे झुलाने को वगरना तरसोगी झूला उसे झुलाने को ये कैसा दौर है क्या हो गया ज़माने को कमर शिकस्ता है नुसरत को आइए आका कमर शिकस्ता है नुसरत को आइए आका हुसैन आए हैं अकबर की लाश उठाने को हुसैन आए हैं अकबर की लाश उठाने को ये कैसा दौर है क्या हो गया ज़माने को धुआं ख़याम से उठता है क्या करे ज़ैनब धुआं ख़याम से उठता है क्या करे ज़ैनब न कोई दर्द का दरबां न गम बटाने को न कोई दर्द का दरबां न गम बटाने को ये कैसा दौर है क्या हो गया ज़माने को अली की बेटियां कूफा में आई हैं लोगों अली की बेटियां कूफा में आई हैं कोई तो आगे बढ़े रास्ता बनाने को कोई तो आगे बढ़े रास्ता बनाने को ये कैसा दौर है क्या हो गया ज़माने को यजीदियत ने जहाँ सर उठाया है सजा यजीदियत ने जहाँ सर उठाया है सजाद हुसैनियत ही बढ़ी है उसे दबाने को हुसैनियत ही बढ़ी है उसे दबाने को। ये कैसा दौर है, क्या हो गया ज़माने को। नबी की आल का उम्मत है खूब बहाने को। सलवात।
शुक्रिया मोहसिन भाई, सलावत। I'd now like to invite Sayyid Khamis to step forward and pay his tribute to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Please welcome him with a warm salawat.
बारे दीगर सलावत। हाय कब्र असगर की बनाने में बहुत देर लगी। हाय कब्र असगर की बनाने में बहुत देर लगी। शह को एक चाँद छुपाने में बहुत देर लगी। हाय कब्र असगर की बनाने में बहुत देर लगी। शैन हर लाश को जल्दी से उठाया शैन हर लाश को जल्दी से उठाया लेकिन लाश अकबर की उठाने बहुत देर लगी। हाय कब्र असगर की बनाने में बहुत देर लगी। कुछ कदम दूर है बाजार से दरबार मगर कुछ कदम दूर है बाजार से दरबार मगर फिर भी शहजादी को आने में बहुत देर लगी। हाय कब्र असगर की टुकड़े चुनते हुए कासिम के कहा मौला ने टुकड़े चुनते हुए कासिम के कहा मौला ने हाय अफसोस के आने में बहुत देर लगी। हाय कब्र असगर की बनाने में बहुत देर लगी। है इस कदर प्यास से सूखा था गुलुए सरवर। है इस कदर प्यास से सूखा था गुलुए सरवर। शिम्र को तेग चलाने में बहुत देर लगी। हाय कब्र असगर की बनाने में बहुत देर लगी। शह को एक चांद छुपाने में बहुत देर लगी। हाय कब्र असगर। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला।
Thank you, Brother Khamis, for that emotional tribute to Ali Al-Asghar alayhi salam. Please thank him by reciting a loud salawat. Brothers and sisters, these programs have been made possible through collaboration between 6 organizations in Manchester. You've heard from most of them. Tonight we have the opportunity to hear from the Islamic Unity Society, which is one of the partner organizations of this program. I'd like to invite Sania Naqvi to come forward, one of the IUS trustees, to tell you a little bit about the IUS. Please welcome her with a salawat.
Brothers, sisters, elders, scholars, and our youth, Assalamu alaikum. So, as you've heard, I'm here on behalf of the Islamic Unity Society, known as the IUS, just to give a vision of what we do and our activities, so I hope to keep it brief. So, firstly, we'd like to thank the Almighty for allowing us to participate in this program, especially after a tumultuous 18 months. We may know people who are not able to be here today. That's humbling that we are here together. Unity, it underpins one of the IUS's most core principles. Our vision statement is that we aim to support the youth to become strong, united, and active contributors in the society in which we live. And our slogan is, in unity, there is strength. So, what's IUS about? So, first and foremost, we follow the teachings of the Quran and ahlebait. We are a strong and a diverse group. We are not affiliated with any particular creed, color, center, any particular community. We're independent. And most relevant, I think, is that we're innovative, and we have been for the last 25 years. And we hope, we are trailblazers and things, which I'll talk about in the next few slides. So just over the last 18 months, what have we been doing? We had the Malcolm X book club. We had an online series of talks, which was precipitated by the death of George Floyd. There was the Ramadan lectures by Sheikh Jafar Ladakh, and we've also had workshops by Dr. Hassan al-Sadr. Due to the nature of the lockdown, with most things being online, people participated not only locally, nationally, but also internationally. So, a great deal of collaboration. So, we hope the IUS is forward-thinking. So, last year, during the IUS's 20th year, the Executive Committee formulated the IUS roadmap. So, we can see now we're in 2021. So last year was a year of housekeeping, but as we go forward, our aim is to become affiliated with different centers, have IUS champions, and be able to invest in our communities by having paid positions to do some of the work that needs to be done. Next slide. So how are we going to do this? So setting a foundation for future generations to come, being a differentiator, and being innovative. So things that spring to mind would be the IUS blood donation campaign, the Imam Hussain blood donation campaign, which I think started out nearly 15 years ago as a conversation in what's known as Dar al-Hadi. I think it has affected hundreds of lives at least. In COVID, we were encouraging people to donate plasma. We are now an official partner of the NHS blood and transplant group. We've also always adapted, meeting unmet needs, engaging the community. We're there as a platform to use, for you to use. So it is what you make of it and what you want us to do. The IUS can provide volunteers, expertise, but moreover, sense of community, family, and friendships. We don't want to be reinventing the wheel. We're there as support. I think one of the tragedies would be that if we're still sitting here in the same hall in 25 years' time, listening to the same narration of Imam Hussain, but our issues remain the same. So I would encourage all the parents to encourage the youth to be involved, because we're all going to get older. The youth will need to sort of step forward and tell us what they need. So, whether it's with IUS or any of the other, multitudes of organizations that we have here in Manchester, if you're interested in IUS, it's on the IUS website, ius.org.uk. I'm around at the end of the program if anyone wants to speak to me. But that's it from us for today. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sanya. Please thank her by reciting a salawat once more. There is one final message from the 10th day. So can the volunteer brother from the 10th day please come forward? Brother Aoun, please welcome him with salawat.
Can I please start with another salawat, please? So, assalamu alaikum, everyone. I just want to start as a representative and a committee member from the 10th day. I want to thank everyone for their participation in the Majlis of Imam Hussain. Not only your contribution, but just being here today from where we were, 2 years ago, is a big achievement in itself. I also just want to take the time to apologize for any inconvenience. If there's any shortcomings on our behalf, I know this Majlis hasn't been 100% perfect. We have maybe delayed, we have made mistakes, so please do forgive us. And any feedback you have for the 10 nights that we've had so far, or 9 nights we've had so far, please do let us know and we'll be more than happy to try and take that going on forward. I just wanted to let you know of a few things that are coming up. So tomorrow I just wanted to let everyone know we're going to be having an Ashura program here today, well tomorrow, at 12:30. We'll begin after Zohar Namaz, where we'll have the recitation plus poetry as well as the Maqtal by the Sayyid. We will then also have an evening Majlis as well, a Sham al-Ghariba program. Again, this will be the same time. We'll start at 8:30, Ziyarat, Namaz, and then we'll proceed straight with the poetry and again, a Majlis by the Sayyid. I also just wanted to let everyone know as well, there is also a midnight Majlis by Muhibban that is going to be at Bellet Street Al-Hussein Masjid. If anyone's interested, that will start at midnight tonight. As well as that, this is the final night, as in this is the 9th night and the final night before we decide to cease any fundraising, any more presentations, and any other talks we're giving. So this is your final night as members of the Shia community to contribute to this great cause. I stood up here, I think 2 days ago, to explain the projects that we do, the causes that we have, what we've done in the past 5 years, and what we plan to do in the future. We have a peace walk, which will be on the 18th of September, 2021. So that'll be next month. So please do keep your eye on that. We'll be posting on our social media about the events that to come. We've also got a food drive as well that we're hoping to, inshallah, in the name of Imam Hussain, give to the Trussell Trust at the end of Ashura, so within the next few days. I just want to make a quick few announcements as well. I can see this isn't directed at anyone, but I have noticed that there are people over the course of the night sitting on chairs which we've allocated for people who are elderly or who have any issues. Can I just please, again, it's not directed at anyone, brothers or sisters, this is just a general notice. If there are chairs available, please leave them available. And if you know that you're able to sit on the floor, please sit on the floor, and just a humble request to do so. Now, just before I finish, I know you're probably sick and tired of hearing this, but I just want to say, can we all please move as far forward as possible, because there will be lots of people coming later on. So with the salawat, I'd like everyone to move forward. Salawat. Allahumma salli ala And just one final request. Like I said, this is the final night. I originally told you we had a target of £30,000. We're at £25,000 right now at the moment. We still need that extra little push just to get us over the line. There are plenty of standing order forms at the fundraising desk. If you need any more information, please do come to me, Brother Faiz, or any of the volunteers. We'll be more than happy to give you more information about what we do and what we have done. Please, just one final plea. Standing orders take 2 seconds to fill out. On your phone, we have a paper standing order form. However you choose to do it, I promise you, it will benefit the rest of the community, not only for now, but for the future as well. Alaikum assalam, salawat.
Thank you, Brother On, for those reminders. Also a reminder that the Arba'in trip, if you wish to travel, come and find myself or Brother Tatir. We'll give you more information. A number of you have signed up for the water appeal. Just remember to give the names of your loved ones that you want to go on the water pumps. And a number of you have given your details for the survey that we are doing with the Manchester Community and Youth Project to seek out the professionals in the community as well as the views of the young ones. Tonight's Majlis is sponsored by a number of Mu'mineen. So this is the family of Brother Ali Jafri, Brother Ali Raza Naqvi, Brother Bilal Ali, a person who wishes to stay anonymous, Sayyid Asad Ali Ruzvi, Shahida Begum, Sayyid Raza Muhammad, Hashmi Begum, the grandmother of Bilal Ali, as well as all the marhumeen of their family. Also a request for Fatiha for Sayyid Altaf Hussain Naqvi, son of Sayyid Sardar Ali Naqvi, as well as a prayer for Shifa for Ruby Chowdhury, as well as all the Mu'mineen and Mu'minat. So let's put our hands together and recite Surah Al-Fatiha. Salawat. Each night I've been reading to you a narrative of the journey of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. I actually wrote this narrative 4 years ago based on my research of the different books. And it begins on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah when Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam is leaving the city of Makkah, and it follows him every single day until his burial on the 13th of Muharram. Sayyid Mahdi has actually reminded me that there is a book written by his eminent father, Sayyid Mahdi Modarresi. The book is entitled God's Sacrifice, the epic saga of Hussein and his legendary martyrdom. So if you wish to know more of the details of the narrative, which we may not necessarily cover during these programs, and if kids are interested and if elders are interested in knowing what actually happens leading up to the martyrdom and after, then I recommend Sayyid Hadi al-Mudarrisi's book, God's Sacrifice, the epic saga of Hussein and his legendary martyrdom. And you'll have noticed that each night we've been displaying a picture, an infographic to go with the narrative, just to be able to let you visualize as to exactly what is going on. Salawat. 9th of Muharram. Time is ruthless. The night of the 9th of Muharram has merged into the day of the 9th of Muharram, and that into the night of the 10th. A series of events are in motion that are to end in calamity. Umar ibn Sa'ad chooses to advance on Hussein's camp. He chooses to violate the sanctity of the household of Rasulullah. Somewhere else in the desert is an unsettled soul. He is Ibn Sa'ad's polar opposite. He is his antithesis. He had been hoping for an amicable solution to this crisis. His actions have brought the footsteps of death to Hussein's door. He is ashamed and riddled with guilt. He too has a choice to make. He cannot give up his paradise for the chasms of hell. There is always a way back to the path of righteousness. He knows that Hussein is a munificent soul. His door is always open. Hur asks his servant to tie his hands behind his back and put his shoes around his neck. Hur is a prisoner of his perturbed conscience. He lowers his head in shame and walks over to Hussein's camp. He will never choose hell over paradise. Hur is as his mother has named him, a free man in this world and the next. On the day of the 9th, the day that has just gone by, as the time of Asr is passing, Zainab approaches her brother Hussein. Hussein is seated in front of his tent. He had been sharpening his sword. He now takes a nap with his sword resting next to him. He wakes up to a great clamor and hue. Ibn Sa'ad and Shimr have advanced onto Hussein's camp. Hussein informs Zainab, I just saw Rasulullah in my dream, and he told me that tomorrow I shall be reunited with them. Shimr wants to isolate Hussein. He has a ruse to further weaken Hussein. He comes to the camps of Hussein and calls out for Abbas. O sons of my sister, come forth. For al-Banin, Fatima Kilabiyya, is of the same tribe as Shimr. Hussein is the epitome of courtesy. He sends Abbas and his brothers to see what Shimr has to say to them. You're guaranteed security, Shimr offers Abbas. Abbas is a young man with the world at his feet. He spurns the offer and throws it back in Shimr's face. Abbas is the son of Ali, the embodiment of loyalty. He was born for this day, unfazed at opposition. Hussein is his master, and he will never abandon him. Hussein now sends Abbas to delay the battle till tomorrow, so he and his companions may spend the night in reflection. Aba Abdullah will give Umar ibn Sa'ad a proper battle. He has a strategy, he has a structure, he has a plan. Ali as-Sajjad shares his father's task. He takes over the search for water by digging wells behind the tents and helps to fortify the camps with the trenches in preparation for battle. He rips through a chainmail armor with his bare hands. An infection takes hold. Exhaustion sets in. A fever takes over. Divine providence has something bigger in store for Sajjad. Hussein gathers his family members and companions this night. He makes an eloquent address. He puts out the lamps to cover their embarrassment and asks them to leave. I lift from you the responsibility of allegiance and oath. The darkness has enveloped you. Thus free yourself from the whirlpool hiding in the waves of darkness. Then each of you may catch hold of each of my family members and disperse into the villages. They refuse to abandon him. None leave. The camp of Hussein is abuzz with the glorification of Allah and the recitation of Quran. They will fall upon death tomorrow. Tonight, we remember the thirst of Ali Al-Asghar. He was but 20 days old when Hussein left Medina. He has spent the past 5 months in travel. The baby won't settle. He has been coughing up blood. He is brought to his father. Hussein whispers something to him in his ear. He calms down. Sleep overtakes him. Hussein sits back at the door of his tent. The warrior son of the warrior father sharpens his sword once more. He is the embodiment of submission. He is glorifying Allah with his praise. To elaborate more on the story of Imam al-Hussein, please welcome Sayyid Mahdi Modarresi with a salawat. Brothers, once more, please move as far to the front as possible and fill up as much of the space in front of you so that those coming later are able to sit and we don't have to disrupt the Sayyid to make that request once more. Thank you. Salawat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك وعلى آل بيتك المظلومين الغر الميامين، روحي وأرواح العالمين لكم الفداء. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي وابن مولاي يا أبا عبد الله. يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة ويا عبرة كل مؤمن ومؤمنة يا غريب يا مظلوم كربلاء. سيدي يا ليتنا كنا معكم فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. اللهم وهب لنا رأفته ورحمته وعونه ودعاءه وخيره ورضاه ما ننال به سعة من رحمتك وفوزا عندك يا كريم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. To offer condolences to the Imam of our time, our Master, our Savior, the Avenger, the one who will restore justice for the blood of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein, Al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan al-Askari. Recite aloud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala The Holy Prophet is quoted to have said in a book authored by a Sunni scholar, jurist, and historian by the name of Al-Khwarizmi. He's a 5th century scholar who wrote a book called Maqtal al-Hussein. This book is considered one of the primary sources on the Ashura passion narrative, on the history and the detailed accounts of the events of the day of Ashura, as well as the events leading up to it and those that transpired after it. It's an important book. And the fact that a Sunni scholar has authored the book adds credence to it. It adds value to the book, at least as far as non-Shia audiences are concerned. In that book, he narrates a hadith. It's a very special night, brothers and sisters. Everything we've said and done so far has been building up to this. And so, I don't want to speak too much, but it is important that we tie up loose ends and we arrive at the conclusion of our discussions. It's important that we put the theory into practice and we figure out exactly why we've done this. So listen to this hadith that's reported by Al-Khwarizmi. He says, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم اللهم صل على The Holy Prophet has said, ألا بالحسين تسعدون وبالحسين تشقون. ألا إن الحسين باب من أبواب الجنة فمن عانده حرم الله عليه رائحة الجنة. To translate roughly, the Holy Prophet says that verily it is through Hussein that you shall achieve happiness. And it is through Hussein that you can acquire misery. Now, what does this mean? The Prophet is saying that there is a path to happiness in this life as well as the next. And that path runs exclusively through the ark of salvation. You want to achieve true happiness? You have to knock on the door of Hussein. You have to board the ark of Hussein. You have to connect with Hussein. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made this household, the household of Rasulullah, are a reflection of His pleasure and His dissatisfaction. Hasn't it been reported by both Shi'i and Sunni sources that Fatima, no one else, Fatima, the daughter of the Holy Messenger of God, is the one that reflects the satisfaction and dissatisfaction of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala isn't one of His creatures. He doesn't resemble any of His creatures, which means that His satisfaction and dissatisfaction, His happiness, His anger, all these things are not psychological states. Unlike us, there is a chemical reaction that takes place in our brains. The soul plays an integral part in the process. And so when we become happy, certain signs manifest themselves. When somebody's happy, they smile. When somebody's angry, their face turns red. All these things happen because we are creatures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are material beings. When it comes to God, He doesn't experience any of these things. There is no change in the different states where He is happy, then He is sad. It doesn't work that way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above and beyond all of this. He is exalted from all of these things. But He has created a barometer for His satisfaction and dissatisfaction. He has created individuals in this world who reflect the satisfaction and dissatisfaction of Allah. And those are the family of the Holy Prophet. More specifically, the daughter of the Messenger of God. من أرضاها فقد أرضاني ومن أرضاني فقد أرضى الله من أغضبها فقد أغضبني ومن أغضبني فقد أغضب الله. Whoever angers Fatima angers the Prophet and therefore God Himself. Whoever makes Fatima pleased, whoever makes her happy, he makes the Prophet happy and therefore God Himself. So Imam Al-Hussain is the same. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him a means with which we can achieve our happiness. True happiness runs through Hussain. What about the latter part of the Prophet's statement when he said, وَبِالْحُسَيْنِ تَشْقُونَ? It is through Hussain that you become miserable. Why? How? The answer is simple. As the barometer that he is, if you do anything to in any way combat Hussain or his values or his message, or to undermine the message of Imam al-Hussain, the legacy of Imam al-Hussain, the teachings of Imam al-Hussain, if you do anything to undermine the remembrance of Imam al-Hussain, or to weaken people's connection with Imam al-Hussain, anything of the sort, that will be the quickest and most severe means of becoming miserable in this life and the next. Imam al-Hussain is the barometer. بِالْحُسَيْنِ تَسْعُدُونَ وَبِالْحُسَيْنِ تَشْقُونَ. Then the Prophet says, أَلَا إِنَّ الْحُسَيْنِ بَابٌ مِّنْ أَبْوَابِ الْجَنَّةِ. Hussain is one of the gates of paradise. Ayatollah Tustari says that what we can gather from the statements of the Holy Prophet and the infallible Imams is that while there are 7 other gates to paradise, the gate of Imam al-Hussain is by far the greatest. The gate of Imam al-Hussain is the one that accommodates more people than all of the other gates combined. In other words, there are people who enter paradise through their prayer and through their worship and spirituality. There are those who enter paradise through their struggle in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are those who enter paradise through their kindness and charity. All of this is true. But those who enter through the gate of Imam al-Hussain, those who are saved by Imam al-Hussain, those who find God through the light of Imam al-Hussain are greater in number than all of those who enter paradise through all of the other gates combined. So the Prophet then adds one last statement to this hadith. But in order for me to translate it, I will ask, and I know this might be difficult, that if you find any space in front of you, to make space, inshallah, get a little closer so that those joining us can have some more space in the back. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. You'd be surprised, even if there is a few inches of space, try and utilize that, because it can accommodate many of the brothers and sisters that are joining us. For the love of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein, recite another loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. The Prophet then says, Ala wa man aanadahu, whoever treats Imam al-Hussein with inad. Inad is hubris. It is an arrogant approach and a contrarian response. That is what's called, it's called inad. Mu'anid is someone who knows the truth but refuses to embrace it. The Holy Prophet says, whoever treats Imam al-Hussein with inad, man aanadahu, will never be able to smell the fragrance of paradise. In other words, you can forget about ever entering paradise. You'll never get anywhere near it. That's how special Imam al-Hussein is in the eyes of God. Imam al-Hussein gave everything he had, offered it all to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, including perhaps the greatest of all sacrifices that we're going to talk about tonight. Everything was handed over to Allah. And so is it then too much to digest when we say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him the axis around which the truth revolves? Is it too much to say that God, as generous as Hussein was, Allah is even more generous? If Hussein gave everything he had in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the extent that we recite in the ziyarah, وَبَذَلَ مُهْجَتَهُ فِيكَ لِيَسْتَنْقِذَ عِبَادَكَ مِنَ الْجَهَالَةِ وَحَيْرَةِ الضَّلَالَةِ. Oh Allah, he gave the blood of his heart. بِأَبِي أَنْتَ وَأُمِّي يَا أَبَا عَبْدِ اللَّهِ. This isn't hyperbole. This isn't figurative. I don't want to open up the tragedy too much. Sometimes, especially when it comes to Imam al-Hussein, it's important that we cover it up. You don't want to open this wound. You want people to reach a level of maturity where a simple reference will remind them of what we're talking about, without me having to open it up too much, unpack it too much. None of us will ever know the true extent of the tragedies of the day of Ashura. There are things in the passion narratives and the historical reports and the traditions of the ahlebait, authentic traditions of the ahlebait, that I cannot mention to you. We can't even talk about them. Even if we could, the Imams themselves didn't open everything up to us. They themselves chose to keep certain things under wraps because it's too much to bear. And even if we could say everything, even if we could relay everything, it's one thing to talk about them, it's another to experience them, to see them, to witness them. بِأَبِي أَنْتَ وَأُمِّي يَا أَبَا عَبْدِ اللَّهِ. He gave the blood of his heart in your way. فِيك. Why? لِيَسْتَنْقِذَ عِبَادَكَ مِنَ الْجَهَالَةِ. So as to guide your slaves from ignorance. وَحَيْرَةِ الضَّلَالَةِ. And the confusion of being lost in these dark waters. That's why you need a rescue mission. That's why we need Hussein. We need the Ark of Salvation. So tonight, my dear brothers and sisters, let us remember that this Ark is about to set sail. The rescue mission is now in full swing. Let's board that ark while we still can. Let us connect with Imam al-Hussein on this night, because if we don't do so, then when are we going to connect with him? أنا شهيد العبرة ما ذكرني مؤمن إلا وبكى. I was killed so as to break your heart. Because when your heart is broken, you then surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You connect to Allah through the tragedy of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. When you cry, there is no purer state than when someone is in tears and the tears are genuine. which is why these tears are so precious, which is why incredible, mind-bending, astounding rewards are attributed to these tears. فَدُونَكَ دُونَكَ, the hadith says. When you're crying, that is the moment you need to seize on. Because it means you're ready now. You've connected, you've established that direct connection to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. The ship is about to set sail. We need to board it. We're all here in order to board it. But how do we do that? We've been talking about making a pledge, making a commitment, about giving an oath of allegiance to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. How do we actually go about doing that? I just want to give you some practical tips, inshallah. And then we will move on to the epitome of tragedy. Number one, vocalize it. Speak it, say it, verbalize the statement. In the ziyarat of Imam al-Hussein, the ones that have been reported in our authentic collections such as Kamil al-Ziyarat by Ibn Quluway, there are multiple visitations where we say the following: Labbayka da'i Allah, I am at your beck and call. O caller on behalf of God, Labbayk, I am here, I am ready, I want to join you. لبيك داعي الله إن كان لم يجبك بدني حين استغاثتك. Listen to these words carefully. If my body wasn't there physically so that I would respond to you when you called out for help. ولساني حين استنصارك, and my tongue couldn't speak out and say, I am here at your service, Ya Abu Abdullah. If that is the case, فَقَدْ أَجَابَكَ قَلْبِي وَسَمْعِي وَبَصَرِي. Then I am responding to you with my heart, I'm responding to you with my ears, I'm responding to you with my tongue. With my eyes, excuse me. In some versions of the ziyarah, it elaborates even further. It mentions the hands, it mentions the feet, it mentions every organ in the body, all the senses. What are we saying here? What's this about? What I'm saying is, Ya Abu Abdullah, I wish I were there. And as the Imams of the ahlebait have taught us, one after the other, that simply having the longing and the yearning and the burning sensation that I wish I were there is in itself a great step in the right direction. You'll be rewarded just for that, just for the desire. But because of that, I then come to the next step, which is, I wasn't there physically, Ya Abu Abdullah. My tongue couldn't speak out on that day and say labbaik, as even the children did. Labbaik ya Amma, like Al-Qasim ibn al-Hasan, Abdullah ibn al-Hasan, and others. However, I can now give you my pledge of allegiance. I can give you my oath, my commitment, that my heart will house and harbor none other than you. What do we say in Ziyarat Ashura? Inni silmun liman salamakum. Say it out loud. Silmun liman, harbun liman, waliyun liman walakum, aduwun liman adakum. In other words, the most strategic actions, the decision to go to war or to establish peace, revolves around what? Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, Imam al-Hussein. So when the imbecile says that the killers of Imam al-Hussein might have had some good things, they might have contributed to this or that, what do you tell them? Silmun liman salamakum, harbun liman harabakum. You are to me an enemy right now. By standing in the enemy camp, by praising the killers of Imam al-Hussein, that puts you squarely in the middle of their camp. I couldn't care less who you are, what you call yourself, whether you declare the founding of a new religion, which I suspect is going to happen at some point, or you choose to stay closeted and continue to claim to be a Shia, it doesn't matter. Labels don't matter. Names don't matter. What matters is where you stand vis-a-vis Hussein. In reference to Hussein, where do you stand? Because my philosophy in life is silmun liman salamakum, harbun liman harabakum. I don't care if it's my parents, if it's my siblings, if it's my own family, I don't care. You stand in the camp of the enemies of Imam al-Hussein and claim that you love Imam al-Hussein. So, my heart will accommodate none other than you, Ya Aba Abdullah. And my allegiance is to none other than those who have given you their allegiance. And that also works the other way, which means that if there's someone that I don't like, someone that I have a personal problem with, someone that I have a vendetta against, but if that person is a wali of Imam al-Hussein, truly, genuinely, if you were to sit down and think, my beef with this person, my problem with this person, is it personal? If it is personal, the question then is this person a wali of Imam al-Hussein, a follower? Does he take Imam al-Hussein as his leader and guardian? If the answer is yes, then I don't care. I will put everything aside and I will be his friend. And I'll be someone who takes him as a guardian from myself. It works both ways, which is why the love of Imam al-Hussein, the allegiance to Imam al-Hussein is the greatest unifying element in all of history. The entire world doesn't have something that is as powerful, a magnet that draws everything towards it. All those that are good, all those that are deep down moral individuals like Imam al-Hussein. Look at the world around you. They can kill the Shia as they have done for the last 14 centuries. They can try to eradicate us, they can try to exterminate us, they can try to do whatever it is they can. But at the end of the day, look at what Imam al-Hussein does to us every Muharram. Look at what he does to us every Ashura. How he brings us all together, people from different walks of life, different backgrounds. Imam al-Hussein himself says in Dua Arafah, and he's describing the mawqif in Arafat, to those in Hajj. He says, Ilahi, O Allah, alat laka al-aswatu bi sunuf al-lughat. He says, oh God, look at how all these voices have been raised for you in multiple languages. And I've always remembered when I read that segment in Dua Arafah, I've always been reminded of the fact that the lovers of Imam al-Hussein are exactly the same. Different languages, different ethnicities, different backgrounds, different people from every walk of life, subhanallah. The one thing that brings them together is that incredible force, more powerful than all of the forces of the universe. Brings together all of these contradictions. Hussein unites us, brothers and sisters. Let's not lose this power. Let's never forget the fact that he, in the midst of turmoil, in the midst of confusion, in the midst of conflict, let us always refer back to Hussein. So, we say to him, Labbayka da'i Allah. I wasn't able to be there to help you, but my heart will accommodate none other than you. Number one. Number two, you say, my ears and my eyes, they are here to support you, Ya Aba Abdullah. And I say this especially to the younger members of the audience, those watching. If you ever find yourself where you can listen to something that is haram, remember that you've already given your ears to Aba Abdullah. If you're about to see something that's haram, remember that you made the pledge when you said, Labbayka da'i Allah, that my eyes are yours, Ya Aba Abdullah. I'm not going to use them in order to violate the values that you stood for and you died for. I'm not going to desecrate your name and your remembrance by looking at a fleeting scene that adds nothing to me, that gives me nothing. I'm not going to do that because I've already given my eyes to you, Ya Aba Abdullah. That's how the companions of Imam al-Hussein were able to reach him. Absolute submission and devotion to the Imam. The Imam was their everything. They wouldn't compartmentalize as many people do. That I'll give 10 nights of my life to Imam al-Hussein. And then the rest of the time, I'm in the camp of who? By committing the acts that the army of Umar ibn Sa'd would commit, by listening to illicit things, by looking at illicit things, in whose camp am I? Certainly not that of Imam al-Hussein. Do I really want to be, even for a second, a fraction of a second, in the camp of Yazid? So, the first thing you do is you speak. You say it out loud. لَبَّيْكَ دَاعِيَ اللَّهِ. You make this pledge verbally and you commit it to your heart. The second thing you do is, we are kind of in a bit of a rush, my dear brothers and sisters. Time's running out. The last thing you want to do is to procrastinate repentance. The worst thing you can do is to say, I'm not totally ready now. I'll take this one step and then we'll just see how things work out. We'll see. I'm not ready. Popular culture teaches us to say this. Do it at your own pace, right? You do you. See what happens, right? Don't rush things. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. But someone who's expecting to be saved doesn't say, you know what? I don't have to swim right now. Let's just see what happens in a couple of days. If I'm drowning, I know that the things I'm committing are sinful and immoral and wrong. Don't delay it. Because any reluctance, if there is any trace of hesitation in your heart tonight, you need to get rid of it. Let me give you some examples. At-Tarammah ibn Adi was a companion of Amir al-Mu'mineen, a companion of Imam al-Hasan, a great man by any measure. Imam al-Hussein encountered him on the way to Kufa. The Imam said to him, Ya Tarammah, we're going to, I'm on this mission. I'm heading towards Kufa. Why don't you join me? He said to the Imam that I have bought food and supplies for the winter season, and I was taking it to my family in Yemen. I'm going to deliver the supplies to my family and rush back to join you, Ya Aba Abdullah. The Imam said to him, what if you don't make it? He said to the Imam, I will. Plus, why don't you join me, Ya Aba Abdullah? Come with me to Yemen. I can promise you 20, some have said 30,000 fighters. My entire tribe will stand with you. I'll stand with you. We will support you. See, his issue wasn't a lack of commitment. It wasn't a lack of faith. It wasn't a lack of loyalty to Imam al-Hussein. His issue was that reluctance. It was, I will do it, just not now. Because I have things that I need to take care of. I've got errands to do. You see the problem there? Your loyalty to Imam al-Hussein is not in question. Who am I to question your loyalty? Your love for Imam al-Hussein is beyond doubt. The problem most of us have is just not now. Just give me some more time. Let me think about it. Let me think about it. By the time At-Tarammah came back, he encountered someone. He said, they killed Hussein today. Can you imagine the remorse, the regret, the sorrow of missing out on ascending to the highest positions of paradise along with Abu Abdullah? Can you imagine? If we miss a flight, how upset will we be? If you miss a train, now imagine you've missed on boarding the Ark of Hussein. That's one example. Another example, which I've mentioned before, but I'd like to mention it because it's so relevant and it's so inspiring. There was a man called Al-Uryan ibn al-Haytham. Al-Uryan is quoted in a book called Tabaqat ibn Sa'd. It's a book about the companions of the Prophet and their companions. It classifies the companions and verifies their reliability. It mentions this story in Tabaqat Ibn Sa'd. Al-Uryan says that my father and I, kunna natasahhar, we would go out into the desert, we would hunt, we would camp, we would do these sorts of things that a father and son might do. He says, every once in a while we'd cross this land called Karbala, and we'd see there was an elderly man who had camped out there. And because we saw him multiple times over a lengthy period, we realized that this person lives there all by himself. So one day my father said to him, he said, what are you doing here? Why are you in this barren desert? Why don't you go to a bigger city? Why don't you go to Kufa? Why don't you go? He said, that man told my father that I heard a hadith from the Holy Messenger of God who said, Ala inna ibni hadha, pointing to Imam Hussain, my son, يقتل بأرض يقال لها كربلاء فمن شهد الموقف فلينصره. The Prophet said, my son Hussein will be killed in a land called Karbala. Whoever witnesses that event, please support him. Karbala hadn't happened yet. This man, whose name was, remember this name, Anas ibn al-Kahil al-Asadi, or ibn al-Harith al-Asadi. This Anas was a companion of Rasulullah. When he heard this hadith, which by the way is reported on his authority in Bukhari. So this hadith is authentic according to the other school as well. When he heard this hadith from Rasulullah, he picked up his mission, no questions asked. He knew what he had to do. That is one boat you don't want to miss. That is one ark you want to make sure you board. So he relocated to the middle of the desert. How many years did he spend there? I don't know. But he stayed there and stayed there. Al-Uryan ibn al-Haytham says, one day we received news أن الحسين قد قتل. Hussein had been killed. Where? They said in Karbala. My father said, let's go. So we went to the site of the massacre of Karbala. We saw these bodies littering the ground on the sands. My father said, let's go look. We went around and round and round. Eventually we found this Asadi, meaning Anas ibn al-Harith, who was among the martyrs. You see what happens? When you are in anticipation, when you truly wait and do what you're supposed to do, when you devote everything you have for this cause, you won't miss the boat. You'll make it. You'll make it. You know, there's a difference between what they call active duty troops, people who are out there on the battlefield fighting, and then you have what they call reservists. Who are the reservists? These are either former or present soldiers, troops. They've been trained. But the difference is that they get to engage in other occupations. They get to do other things. They can work outside. They don't live on the military camps. They don't go to the battlefront. They do what they do normally, but they are constantly on call. They're always waiting. When the phone call comes, when the announcement comes, they know exactly what they're supposed to do. And every year, they train. Every year, they sharpen the saw. And they're constantly in a state of anticipation in case the call is made. Imam al-Sadiq says in one hadith, أَلَا وَإِنَّ لَنَا دَوْلَةٌ يَجِيءُ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى بِهَا إِذَا شَاءَ. We have a government, and that government will come whenever God wills for it to come. Then the Imam says, whoever wants to join us, whoever wants to support us, فَلْيَنْتَظِرْ. Number one, be on call. Be that reservist. And I'll explain a little bit about that. Then the Imam says, وَلْيَعْمَلْ بِالْوَرَعِ وَالْإِجْتِهَادِ. Also be pious. Avoid sins. Every sin we commit, we're taking a step away from Abu Abdullah. فَلْيَعْمَلْ بِالْوَرَعِ وَالْإِجْتِهَادِ وهو منتظر. Work hard and continue to wait and anticipate. Then the Imam says, may Allah bestow His mercy upon you, أيتها العصابة المرحومة. And if you happen to be on call, if you're a reservist, if you're in anticipation, but you die, as many people have, but if that is the case, then it is as though you were with him when he came. In fact, it's as though you were inside the tent of the Imam, the Savior, when he returns. In other words, it doesn't matter whether the Imam actually comes in my lifetime or not. What matters is that I'm on call. Now, someone might say, you're asking us to pledge an oath of allegiance. You're telling us that we should give a commitment to devote our lives to Imam Hussain, right? And you're telling us that you should be on call. You're telling us that you should be in a state of anticipation. You're telling us we should do all these things. Does that mean that we can't live our lives? The answer, of course, is no. That's not what it means. Because you can be an engineer, you can be a doctor, you can be a driver, you could be a housewife, you could be someone who takes up any career choice and option as long as it is valid, as long as it's within the limits of what is halal and haram. That's not the problem. Even a military, a traditional military, requires all of these professions. You need everyone to contribute. You need all of these things. That's not the issue. The issue is that everything you do, listen carefully to this, every career choice you make, every decision you make, every single thing that you decide to do in this life has to somehow connect and serve the cause of Imam al-Hussain. That's what it means. So you want to pick a career, you want to get a job, you want to stay at home, for example, and raise the kids, whatever, as long as what you do serves the cause of Imam al-Hussain. And I'm not talking about something that's wishy-washy, some vague sense of connection to Imam al-Hussain. No, it has to be very clear that what I am doing here is in the service of Imam al-Hussain and to strengthen the followers of Imam al-Hussain. The global community of the lovers of Aba Abdullah have to benefit from this. Obviously, you have to earn a living. Obviously, you have to look after your children, your family, all these things. It goes without saying. But whatever you do has to connect with him in either a direct or indirect fashion. It has to be in his service. It all has to pour into that same stream. That's what we mean. Ask yourself this question. What would Imam al-Hussain do? You'd be surprised, brothers and sisters, how incredibly illuminating this question is. We're having a wedding. What kind of wedding would Imam al-Hussain have? We're throwing a birthday party. What would Imam al-Hussain do? We're doing social engagements. How would Imam al-Hussain go about that? It's incredible how this makes things crystal clear, this question. What would Hussain do? What would Hussain say? Make Imam al-Hussain your focal point. Make him the axis in your life. And you can achieve what the Prophet said, Bil Husayni tas'udun. You will find true happiness, wallahi, brothers and sisters. And don't hesitate, don't be reluctant, don't wait, don't procrastinate. One of the people who regretted not coming to help Imam al-Hussain and die in his way was Abdullah ibn Ja'far, the husband of Lady Zainab. His regret was slightly mitigated by the fact that 2 of his children died on the plains of Karbala for the cause of Imam al-Hussain. But he expressed remorse. Why didn't I go? And he missed out. So many other people missed out. Abdullah ibn al-Hurr al-Ju'fi, you've all heard his story. He also missed out. Take my sword, take my horse. He missed out. It would be an understatement to call it a spaceship. It is nothing short of Mi'raj. What Imam al-Hussain did on the day of Ashura, that ascent was a Mi'raj. When you miss out on clinging on to the Imam and being a part of this Mi'raj, you've missed out. It's gone. The opportunity is gone. However, because of Allah's mercy, because of His grandeur, because of His kindness and compassion, He has opened another pathway for us to ascend with Imam al-Hussein. Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, this great companion of Rasulullah, was the first person to visit the site of the massacre of Karbala and the grave of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. You've all heard the story. When he came with his servant Atiyah, he was obviously blind. He told Atiyah, please take me to the river Euphrates, let me perform ghusl. Then he asked him to take him close to the grave of Imam al-Hussein. When he got there, he said the following. He recited the ziyarah of Imam al-Hussein, part of which was this. He said, I swear in God's name that we have been with you, O companions of Hussein. I have shared your campaign and your crusade and your defense of Abu Abdullah, just like you did. I share that with you. So Atiyah said to him, Ya Jabir, how could you say that? When we never climbed a mountain as they did. We never descended into a valley as they did. We never struck with a sword as they did. Their heads were removed from their bodies, and yet you say that we share this with you, that we were with you. Jabir responds with a hadith. He said, Sami'tu habibi Rasulallah. I heard my beloved sweetheart, the messenger of God, who said, Man ahabba qawman hushira ma'ahum. Whoever loves a group will be raised with them on the day of judgment. وَمَنْ أَحَبَّ عَمَلَ قَوْمٍ أُشْرِكَ بِهِمْ. And whoever loves the actions of a group will become partners with them. We love them. يَا لَيْتَنَا كُنَّا مَعَكُمْ فَنَفُوزَ فَوْزًا عَظِيمًا. A lot of things happened on the eve of Ashura. On the 9th of Muharram, Shimr ibn al-Jawshan arrived in Karbala. He came to Umar ibn Sa'd, the leader of the enemy camp. He said to him, I have a letter to deliver to you from Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. Ubaydullah opened the letter. It said, either you fight with Hussein and kill Hussein, or if you cannot do that, then hand command of the army to Shimr ibn al-Jawshan, the bearer of the letter. When Umar ibn Sa'd read this letter, he looked at Shimr. He said to him, I was trying to avoid the war. My letters to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad attempted to dissuade him from engaging militarily. But it must have been you. You must have spoken to him and convinced him that we should kill Hussein and his entire camp. Shimr said to him, it doesn't matter whether it was me or somebody else. Give me your answer. Will you wage war against him tomorrow, or should I take over? Umar said, no, I'll do it because I can't give up on what's been promised to me. The governorship of Ray. That's just too sweet a deal for me to give up on. So I'll do it if I must. It was close to nighttime. Umar ibn Sa'd said, the drummers should come and begin to beat the drums of war. I don't know if you've seen these mawkibs, especially if you've been to Karbala during Arba'een or Muharram. You'll see 3 drums or 4 drums, and they're beating them. It shakes your core. Now imagine you have 1,000 drummers surrounding the tiny camp of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, beating these drums. What it did to the hearts of the daughters of Abu Abdullah, I have no idea. They began to beat the drums. Imam al-Hussein said to Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, go to them. Ask them, what do they want? What are they trying to do? Al-Abbas headed towards the enemy camp. He went along with some of his companions, with Zuhair and Burayr, Abis, Nafi' ibn Hilal and others. They all went as a single front. The only one who was left alone was Abu Abdullah. So they headed towards them. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas spoke to them. He said, what do you want? Umar ibn Sa'd said, we're going to start the war. Al-Abbas said, let me go back to my master Abu Abdullah and relay what you have said to me. The other companions stayed back at the battlefield, and they continued to try and speak to them. Zuhair ibn al-Qayn, for example, said to them, why are you killing him? He's the grandson of your prophet. Has he committed a crime? Has he done something to you? Umar ibn Sa'd said to him, you were a Uthmani up until yesterday. You didn't even love him. You followed Uthman. What are you doing in his camp now? Zuhair said, yes, I was a Uthmani, and today I'm a Husseini. But that's not the real question. The real question is, unlike you, I never wrote to him saying, I am giving you my bay'ah, my pledge of allegiance. Come, we're here to help you. You wrote to him. Why would you betray him like this? Others said similar things. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas went back to the camp. He said to him, Sayyidi wa Mawla, Ya Aba Abdullah, they're saying that they wish to start the war tonight. Imam al-Hussain said to him, go back and tell them لِيُمْهِلُونَ سَوَادَ هَذِهِ اللَّيْلَةِ. Ask them to give us the darkness of this night. In other words, delay the war until tomorrow. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ. Listen to this. Again, brothers and sisters, we're trying to board this ark. Imam al-Hussain said, I wish to delay the war until tomorrow because Allah knows that I love to recite His book and to pray to Him. If any of us here tonight feels that they don't enjoy their prayer, that salat is a burden on them, find out what it is that you've done so that the joy of prayer is taken away from you. Because it means there's a big gap between you and Imam al-Hussain. Try and bridge that gap tonight. Try and get closer to him. Make that commitment. Repent to Allah. Imam al-Hussain says, I love prayer. Now think about this for a second. And I don't want to get into this. But Imam al-Hussain, any delay in the war would have been to his disadvantage. Had the war started on the eve of Ashura, it would have been better for him and his camp. For many reasons. One, because it wasn't as hot. It's nighttime. Two, they weren't as thirsty. They'd only been deprived of water for 2 days as opposed to 3. 3, because it's dark, they would have been able to maneuver better than being in broad daylight and having all of these vicious monsters attacking them from every direction. 4, 5, Imam al-Hussein's camp was losing people. The camp of Ibn Sa'd was increasing in number. All of these factors tell you that any delay to the battle would have been to the detriment of Imam al-Hussain. And yet, for the sake of salat, for the sake of Quran, Imam al-Hussain delayed it. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas went. He told him, listen, give us this night. Tomorrow you can do whatever you want to do. But let's use this night because Imam al-Hussain said he wishes to pray and to recite the Quran. Ibn Sa'd refused. Originally, Umar said no. Some of his own people said, if these were Jews, Christians, Zoroastrians, atheists, if they were any other religion, and they asked for a delay of just one night, we would have given it to them. What's wrong with you? Plus, the camp of Hussein is completely surrounded. It's not like they can run. They can't escape. So how could it hurt you if you gave them this one night? So he was kind of ashamed and humiliated, and therefore said, fine, we will give you this night. Again, a lot of things happened. A lot of things transpired that night. I don't want to get into the details. Suffice to say that Imam al-Hussain was asked by his sister Zainab, have you tested your companions? Have you tried them? Are they going to stand with you tomorrow? At one point, Imam Hussain left the camp. He left the tents. Nafi' ibn Hilal, who was one of his companions, he ran after the Imam. The Imam said to him, "What brings you out, O Nafi'?" He said, "Ya Aba Abdullah, the fact that you have left the camp, awhashani. I am terrified for you, Ya Aba Abdullah. I want to be with you to protect you." He says that I noticed Imam al-Hussein would bend and pick things up from the ground. I looked closer and he was picking up the big thorny bushes. Imam al-Hussein knew what would happen tomorrow. He knew that his children would be running around. Bahr al-Masa'ib, which is a passion narrative, reports that one of the things Imam al-Hussein did was on the day of Ashura, rather the day before Ashura, or one of the days, the Imam went to one of the soldiers and he pulled out of his pocket a set of earrings. He said to him, "Take these 2 earrings." He said, "Why?" He said, "Because I know when you left Kufa, you promised your daughter that you're going to get her a set of earrings. Just leave my daughters alone. Take these." Imam al-Hussein was setting the stage. He was picking these thorny leaves. Nafi' ibn Hilal says, I came to the Imam. The Imam said to me, "Oh Nafi', you see how dark it is right now? You can probably make a run for it. If you escape, they won't chase after you because it's me that they want. Why would you want to die here? Why would you get killed for no reason? Leave me go." Do you know what Nafi' did? He fell to the ground and started kissing the feet of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. In other words, "Ya Abu Abdullah, don't do this to me. Don't make me go. Don't push me away. There is no greater honor than to die in your cause." It was Zuhair who said to the Imam that, "Ya Aba Abdullah, if I die 1,000 times and be brought back to life, I will continue to die for you." Another companion said, "Ya Aba Abdullah, if there was no afterlife, if there was no paradise, if there was no reward for any of this, I would still want to die in your cause, let alone this being a short temporary life. Let us be here for you." They say Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, he never started a conversation with Imam al-Hussein. You know, all the others would give advice to the Imam, "Do this, don't do that, don't go to Karbala," Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah, Ibn Abbas. And yet Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas never even so much as gave a suggestion to Abu Abdullah. He knows this is his master, this is his Imam. There was only one occasion where the Imam spoke and Abbas spoke back. Do you know when it was? It was on the eve of Ashura, when the Imam said to his companions, "Leave me, you can go. Even you, Abbas, take your brothers, go back, let me stay here. I'll just be here with my son Ali al-Akbar. If they kill me, they won't come after you." Al-Abbas was the first one to speak out. He said, "Ya Aba Abdullah, there is nothing good in a life where Hussein is not there. What reason do I have to live if you get killed? I am here for you, Ya Aba Abdullah. My brothers, we were born to die for you." So a lot of these events happened, conversations between Imam al-Hussein and Zainab and his daughters. But tonight I want to take you to one of the greatest tragedies. Imam al-Hussein himself is quoted to have said, "شيعتي مهما شربتم عذب ماء فاذكروني." Oh my followers, oh Shia of Hussein, whenever you drink water, remember me. أو سمعتم بأسير أو قتيل فاندبوني. Or if you hear of someone being taken lonely, being abandoned, not having any helpers, remember me. فأنا السبط الذي, for I am the grandson of Rasulullah, من غير جرم قتلوني. Imam Hussain went to them, he said to them, have I committed a crime? Tell me. Have I killed anyone? Speak to me. Have I usurped anything? من غير جرم قتلوني. I will skip the next verse, it is too painful. The Imam then said, ليتكم في يوم عاشوراء جميعا تنظروني. Oh Shia, I wish you were there on Ashura watching me. What scene does Hussein want to remind us of? Which of the tragedies does Aba Abdullah remind us of? This one. كيف أستسقي لطفلي فأبوا أن يرحموني. When I asked them for water for my infant, Hussein, 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 Hussein. Aba Abdullah came to his sister's tent. He's about to bid them farewell. أخي زينب ناوليني ولدي الرضيع حتى أودعه. My sister Zainab, give me my infant boy. I wish to say goodbye to him. يا صاحب الزمان يا ولي العصر أجرك الله. Our ulama used to say on the eve of Ashura, make a special prayer for Imam al-Zaman and give sadaqah for his safety. ولئن أخرتني الدهور وعاقني عن نصرك المقدور. The Imam says, oh grandfather, now that I have been deprived of helping you, لأندبنك صباحا ومساء. Imam al-Zaman cries for Aba Abdullah every single day and night. Imagine what happens to him on the eve of Ashura. ولا أبكين عليك بدل الدموع دما يا. Zainab brought the infant to his father. She said to him, Ya Aba Abdullah. His mother couldn't bring him to the Imam. She couldn't bring him to the Imam. You know why? Because a mother can't bear to continue look into the eyes of a child who's going to die of thirst. Zainab had to be the one that brought him. She said to him, Ya Aba Abdullah, I know these people have no mercy in their hearts. Maybe, just maybe, if they saw an infant, they would give him a drop of water. فَقَدْ جَفَّ اللَّبَنُ فِي صَدْرِ أُمِّهِ. His mother hasn't had a drink of water in 3 days. She has no milk to nurse him with. Abu Abdullah took the child. Aywa waylah wa musibatah. A child who is in this state goes through 2 phases. The first one, the child screams, cries. The child is agitated. The infant expresses his thirst. But unlike the others, Allahu Akbar, there are differences between this martyr and the others. One of them is that the others, when they were thirsty, they could speak. This one couldn't even say that I am thirsty. The other martyrs of Karbala, they walked to the battlefield on their own. This one had to be carried to the battlefield. So the child initially cries, initially screams, but there comes a point when the child has no more strength to cry. Can't even scream anymore. But in this phase, if you feed the child, if you nurse him, if you give him water, he might survive. But then there is a third phase. Even if you give him the water, he's going to die anyway. Abu Abdullah took his son, he headed towards the battlefield. He raised his child and said, Ya Qawm, لقد قتلتم أهلي وولدي. You have killed my sons. You have slaughtered my companions. وليس لي إلا هذا الرضيع. He's all I got. He's going to die anyway. At least give him something so he doesn't die thirsty. Some of the enemy troops said, the adults, they might have committed a crime, but what crime has this 6-month-old infant committed? There was discord. Omar feared that the army might turn against him. So he called out his chief archer, Harmala. Imam Zayn al-Abidin once asked a man who came from Kufa. He said to him, I don't care about the others. Tell me about Harmala. He said, Karbala is alive. The Imam raised his hands. He said, Allahumma adhiqhu harra al-hadid. Oh Allah, make him taste the sword. You don't know what he's done to us. Harmala said to Umar, he said to him, do I shoot the father or the son? Umar said to him, look at his tender neck. Don't you see how it shines? Harmala took out a poisoned arrow that had 3 prongs. He shot the boy. فذبحه من الوريد إلى الوريد. Abu Abdullah had his son in his hands. Suddenly the Imam noticed the boy wasn't moving anymore. He put his hands under his neck. He filled them with his blood. He threw the blood into the heaven. Imam al-Baqir says, not a drop of it fell back on the ground. He said, Ilahi, in kana hadha yurdik faqad hatta tarda. Oh Allah, if this pleases you, take it from me. The only time Allah gave condolences to Imam Hussain was at this tragedy. A call was made in the heavens. Da'hu ya Hussain. Hussain, leave him. He has a nurse waiting for him in paradise. He's not thirsty anymore. I don't know if I should say this or not. Had it not been the eve of Ashura, I wouldn't say it. The Imam went back to the camp. He went back there, but he avoided the tent of Rubab. He wouldn't go that way. He called his sister Zainab. He said, Zainab, come and help me. He dug a small grave with the tip of his sword. He buried the boy, drenched in his blood. Rubab later found out that her son had already been buried, so she couldn't see him. So I ask you, Ya mu'mineen, Ya sahib al-amri wal zaman, I apologize for this. On the day of Ashura, Rubab came to Zainab. She said, Zainab, didn't you say my son was buried? She said, yes, he was. She said, then why is his head on a spear? Hussain! 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 Aywa Hussain!
था ये बानों का बयान, था ये बानों का बयान, किसको दूँ अब लोरियाँ, ढूंढती फिरती है मादर, है मेरा असगर कहाँ। था ये बानों का बयान, किसको दूँ अब लोरियाँ, ढूंढती फिरती है मादर, है मेरा असगर कहाँ। हाय वो नाजुक गला, 3 दिन से खुश्क था। हाय वो नाजुक गला, 3 दिन से खुश्क था। बढ़ के मौजे तीर ने वो इस कदर जख्मी किया, तर हुई खून से ज़बान, ले सके ना हिचकिया, ढूंढती फिरती है मादर, है मेरा असगर कहाँ। खून भरा कुर्ता तेरा, खून भरा कुर्ता तेरा, हाय वो बिछड़ गया। अब जियूं किसके सहारे, पास मेरे क्या रहा। जिंदगी है रायगा, उम्र भर हूँ नोहा खां, ढूंढती फिरती है मादर, है मेरा असगर कहाँ। खाली झूला देख कर, ऐ मेरे नूरे नजर, खाली झूला देख कर, ऐ मेरे नूरे नजर, आंख भर आती है मेरी और रोता है जिगर। सो गए हो तुम कहाँ, चैन पाए कैसे माँ, ढूंढती फिरती है मादर, है मेरा असग़र कहाँ। था ये बानों का बयां, किसको दूं अब लोरियां, ढूंढती फिरती है मादर, है मेरा असग़र कहाँ। या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन। तेरी प्यास मैं बुझाऊं, असग़र मैं तेरी माँ हूँ, आ जाओ चांद मेरे। तेरी प्यास मैं बुझाऊं, असग़र मैं तेरी माँ हूँ, आ जाओ चांद मेरे। तेरी प्यास मैं बुझाऊं, असग़र मैं तेरी माँ हूँ, आ जाओ चांद मेरे। तेरी प्यास मैं बुझाऊं, असग़र मैं तेरी माँ हूँ, आ जाओ चांद मेरे। मेरे लाडले कहाँ हो, मेरे लाडले कहाँ हो, सीने तुम्हें लगाऊं, असग़र मैं तेरी माँ हूँ, आ जाओ चांद मेरे। तेरी प्यास मैं बुझाऊं, असग़र मैं तेरी माँ हूँ, आ जाओ चांद मेरे। तेरी प्यास मैं बुझाऊं, असग़र मैं तेरी माँ हूँ। मेरे लाडले कहाँ हो, मेरे लाडले कहाँ हो, सीने तुम्हें लगाऊं, असग़र मैं तेरी माँ हूँ, आ जाओ चांद मेरे। बेटा तुम्हारा कातिल, बेटा तुम्हारा कातिल, मेरे सामने खड़ा है। बेटा तुम्हारा कातिल, मेरे सामने खड़ा है, जाने क्यों हंस रहा है। चांद चादर भी लुट गई है, मुंह किस तरह छुपाऊं, असगर मैं तेरी माँ हूँ। आ जाओ चांद मेरे, तेरी प्यास मैं बुझाऊं, असगर मैं तेरी माँ। बेटा तुम्हारा कातिल मेरे सामने खड़ा है, जाने क्यों हंस रहा है। चादर भी लुट चुकी है, मुंह कैसे मैं छुपाऊं, असगर मैं तेरी माँ हूँ। आ जाओ चांद मेरे, तेरी प्यास मैं बुझाऊं, असगर। बेटा तुम्हारा कातिल मेरे सामने खड़ा है, जाने क्यों हंस रहा है। चादर भी लुट चुकी है, मुंह किस तरह छुपाऊं, असगर मैं तेरी माँ हूँ। आ जाओ चांद मेरे, आ जाओ चांद मेरे, तेरी प्यास मैं बुझाऊं, असगर मैं तेरी माँ हूँ। आ जाओ चांद मेरे, तेरी प्यास मैं। तेरे झूले को सकीना रो रो के चूमती है, तुझे घर में ढूंढती है। तेरी मौत की खबर मैं कैसे उसे सुनाऊं, असगर मैं तेरी माँ हूँ। आ जाओ चांद मेरे, तेरी प्यास मैं बुझाऊं, असगर मैं तेरी माँ हूँ। आ जाओ चांद मेरे, तेरी प्यास मैं तेरे झूले को सकीना रो रो के चूमती है, तुझे घर में ढूंढती है। तेरी मौत की खबर मैं कैसे उसे सुनाऊं, असगर मैं तेरी माँ हूँ। आ जाओ चांद मेरे, तेरी प्यास मैं बुझाऊं, असगर मैं तेरी माँ हूँ। आ जाओ चांद मेरे, तेरी प्यास मैं बुझाऊं, असगर मैं तेरी माँ हूँ। आ जाओ चांद मेरे, तेरी प्यास मैं बुझाऊं, असगर मैं तेरी माँ। मेरी जान जा रही है, ये सोच सोच असगर, इस फूल से गले पर ये तीर कैसे झेला, बहनों को क्या बताऊं, असगर मैं तेरी माँ हूँ। आ जाओ चांद मेरे, तेरी प्यास मैं बुझाऊं, असगर मैं तेरी माँ हूँ। आ जाओ चांद मेरे, तेरी प्यास मैं बुझाऊं, असगर मैं तेरी माँ हूँ। आ जाओ चांद मेरे, तेरी प्यास मैं बुझाऊं, मेरी जान जा रही है ये सोच सोच असगर इस फूल से गले पर ये तीर कैसे झेला बहनों को क्या बताऊं असगर मैं तेरी माँ हूँ आ जाओ चांद मेरे तेरी प्यास मैं बुझाऊं असगर मैं तेरी माँ हूँ आ जाओ चांद मेरे तेरी प्यास मैं बुझाऊं नेज़े से सर गिरा है नन्हा सा सर तुम्हारा दिल रोता है हमारा मेरे हाथ तो बंधे हैं किस तरह किस तरह किस तरह आ जाओ चांद मेरे तेरी प्यास मैं बुझाऊं असगर मैं तेरी माँ हूँ आ जाओ चांद मेरे तेरी प्यास मैं बुझाऊं असगर मैं तेरी माँ हूँ आ जाओ चांद लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले लुट गए तरसे पानी को जो सर के लुटाने वाले लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले तरसे पानी को जो सर के लुटाने वाले लुट गए हो गई शाम उन्हें शाम के बाजारों में हो गई शाम उन्हें शाम के बाजारों में एक बीमार को लाखों हैं सताने वाले लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले लुट गए तरसे पानी को जो सर के लुटाने वाले लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले ज़हरा कहती बख्शवा दूंगी उन्हें मैं शर में ज़हरा कहती बख्शवा दूंगी उन्हें मैं शर में जो मेरे लाल पे आंसू हैं बहाने वाले जो मेरे लाल पे सू हैं बहाने वाले लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले तरसे पानी को जो को सर के लुटाने वाले लुट गए ज़हरा कहती बख्शवा लूँगी उन्हें महशर में ज़हरा कहती बख्शवा लूँगी उन्हें महशर में जो मेरे लाल पे आंसू हैं बहाने वाले जो मेरे लाल पे आंसू हैं बहाने वाले लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले तरसे पानी को जो को सर के लुटाने वाले लुट गए आले मोहम्मद के घराने वाले या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Oh, master of youth in heaven, I am at your door again, calling your name, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, oh Ya Hussein. What is greater than your blessing? I am your servant, you're the king. What is greater than your blessing? I am your servant, you're the king. Without you, this world is nothing. Ya ibn az-Zahra, Ya ibn az-Zahra, Ya ibn az-Zahra, Ya Sar Allah. Ya ibn az-Zahra, Ya ibn az-Zahra. Oh, master of youth in heaven, I am at your door again, calling your name, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, oh Ya Hussein. What is greater than your blessing? I am your servant, you're the king. Without you, this world is nothing. Ya ibn az-Zahra, Ya ibn
ابن الزهرا یا ابن الزهرا یا صار الله یا ابن الزهرا Love has only one place for me, with you, O son of Ali. From Najaf we wish to be with Hussain in Arba'in. Oh master, look at this beggar. My mother serves for your mother. I am the poor, you're the giver. Ya ibn al-Zahra, Ya ibn al-Zahra, Ya ibn al-Zahra, Ya sar Allah. Ya ibn al-Zahra, Ya ibn al-Zahra, Ya ibn al-Zahra,
Ya ibn al-Zahra, Ya ibn al-Zahra, Ya sar Allah.
ای شاه بی سر السلام، اوریان پیکر السلام، خونین هنجر السلام، السلام، شاه السلام، نعم المولا نعم الامیر. دستم را ای آقا بگیر، نعم المولا نعم الامیر. دستم را ای آقا بگیر، تو شاه و من هستم فقیر. یا ابن الزهرا، یا ابن الزهرا، یا ابن الزهرا، یا صار الله. یا ابن الزهرا، یا ابن الزهرا، سيدنا المظلوم، سيدنا العطشان، سيدنا القريب حسين حسين حسين. سيدنا المظلوم، سيدنا العطشان، سيدنا القريب حسين حسين حسين. سيدنا المظلوم، سيدنا العطشان، سيدنا القريب حسين حسين حسين. سيدنا المظلوم، سيدنا العطشان، سيدنا القريب حسين حسين حسين. سيدنا المظلوم، سيدنا العطشان، سيدنا القريب حسين حسين. انگار هنوز سر بریده ای رو نیزه هاست، انگار هنوز تنه بی کفنی تو قتلگاست، انگار هنوز تنه بی کفنی تو قتلگاست، انگار هنوز تنه بی کفنی تو قتلگاست. سیدنا المظلوم، سيدنا العطشان، سيدنا القريب حسين حسين. سيدنا المظلوم، سيدنا العطشان، سيدنا القريب حسين حسين. سيدنا المظلوم، سيدنا العطشان، سيدنا الغريب حسين حسين. سيدنا المظلوم،
سيدنا العطشان، سیدنا الغریب حسین حسین حسین
انگار هنوز روی لب حرم و آتشاست انگار هنوز روی لب حرم و آتشاست انگار هنوز تنی به خاک و خون به کربلاست انگار هنوز تنی به خاک و خون به کربلا سیدنا المظلوم سیدنا العطشان سیدنا الغریب حسین حسین سیدنا المظلوم سیدنا العطشان سیدنا الغریب حسین حسین سيدنا المظلوم سيدنا العطشان سيدنا الغريب قريب 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 سيدنا المظلوم سيدنا العطشان سيدنا الشهيد شهيد 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 هر که دارد هوس کرب و بلا بسم الله و ابی انت و امی یا ابا عبد حسین 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 Hussein, 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 Hussein.
Saint, 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 Saint,
Hussein, 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 Hussein.
پرورم کرد هوای وصل بی بالایم پرام کرد به ما گفتی صبوری کن صبوری صبوری طرف خاکی بر سرم کرد
وای حسین وای حسین وای حسین وای حسین وای حسین حیدر 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 حیدر
کربلا دستش شده از تن جدا سرش به نوک نیزه ها ابوالفضل 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 رقیه 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 یا زینب یا زینب یا زینب یا زینب و بن حسن 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 حسن
محمدا 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 نبي عربي ورسول مدني وأخيه أسد الله مسمى بعلي وبالزهراء بتول وبأم ولدتها وبسبطيه وشبليه هما نجل زكي وبسجاد وبالباغر والصادق حق وبموسى وعلي وتقي ونقي وبذي العسكر والحجة قائم البحق الذي يضرب بالسيف بحكم هزلي بمحمد وعلي بمحمد وعلي اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج يا مهدي يا مهدي يا مهدي يا مهدي
برادرم شب وداع زینب چیزی بگو که خواهرت جون به لبه اون همه غم برای خواهرت بسه کاشکی بمیره و به فردا نرسه شاد شب نیای شادا برام بخوا شهادت از خدا نمیدونی چه سخت دیدنت فردا به روی نیزه ها برادر وای اگه فردا برسه برادر وای اگه فردا برسه امان از فردا امشب زینب میگفت مکن ای صبح طلوع مکن ای صبح طلوع برادرم روزه مادر رو بخون قوت قلبی به دل من برسون این همه صبر برای داغ تو کمه بگو که فردا مادرم کنارمه، بگو میاد با سوز و اشکان، میاد پیش زینب بی پناه. به من بگو که فاطمه با من میاد میونه قتلگاه. زینب 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 خبر بدم فردا مادرشم میاد، صدا میزنه بنیه قتلوک، بنیه ذبحوک و من الماء منوک. این صدای مادره مثل فردا وقتی زینب ودا کرد، گلوی حسینشو بوسید، وصیت مادرش رو عمل کرد، دیگه حسینشو ندید. تا کجا؟ تا اون لحظه ای که آمد بالای تل زینبیه، وارد گودال شد، دستاشو به سرش گذاشت. وا محمدا، وا علیا، وا اما. یه مرتبه دید یه صدای آشنایی بلند شد، اخیا الیا، زینبم بیا. نیزه شکسته رو کنار زد، شمشیرا رو کنار زد، یه بدن پاره پاره ای رو دید. ای حسین، زینب تو برو که مادرم می آید، جای تو کنار پیکرم می آید. گر دور شوی ز پیکرم غصه نخور، دنبال سر شما سرم می آید. به دم المظلوم یا الله 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 یا رحمان یا رحیم یا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دینک واکفنا یا قاضی الحاجات و یا کافی المهمات انک علی کل شیء قدیر. اللهم عجل لولیک الفرج، اللهم عجل لولیک الفرج والعافیة والنصر وجعلنا من خیر اعوانه و انصاره و شیعته والمستشهدین بین یدی. Everybody recite the dua for the health of Sahib al-Zaman. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma kun levaliyek الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا
حافظا وقاهدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين للأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات. رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة مع الصلوات.